Good morning. Welcome to week 7 in Comparative Models in Policing. Our topic for today is Modern Policing System Practices. So we are going to learn about countries practicing modern police system and analyze the different police practices. So the countries that we are going to discuss are categorized as practicing modern system policing due to its approaches that are favorable to its constituents, more so that they give recognition to the inherent rights of their constituents as they observe due process in their treatment of law violators. So we are going to start with Switzerland in their police. For many years, travel brochures used to mark there is no crime in Switzerland. So criminologists were puzzled and they attributed the non-existence of crime in Switzerland to either the high rate of firearm ownership or the extensive welfare system. Yun yung notion ng mga criminologists. Na siguro kaya walang krimen sa Switzerland dahil mataas ang rate of firearm ownership or siguro there is extensive welfare system, no, by the government of Switzerland. It turned out that the Swiss, along with some other welfare nations like Sweden, were not reporting older crime rates. So ito pala yung dahilan. Hindi irini-report ng Switzerland ang kanilang crime rates. However, it was true that their crime rate was fairly low. Paano nila ginagawa? Hindi yung wala silang krimen, pero mababa yung kanilang crime rate. So, Switzerland did a remarkable job in managing their underclass population for the poor people who live in the ghettos and slums. Swiss crime control is highly effective in using an iron fist, velvet glove approach toward those who commit crime and come from the bottom echelons of Swiss society. So, ano ang sinabi? Switzerland managed well their underclass population, yung mga mahihirap who live in the ghettos and slums. They apply what we call iron fist, velvet glove approach. How is this? So for example, when a poor person commits a crime, okay, ano ang gagawin ng gobyerno ng Switzerland? They go to that family and analyze the family with regards to educational and employment needs of everyone in that poor person's family. So nagkakaroon sila ng analysis, no? Regarding educational and employment needs sa lahat ng mga member ng pamilyang iyan. So after some punishment, of course, they still give punishment to that particular person who belong to that family who committed the crime. But after some punishment, they are already applied a long-term treatment plan, no? Para ma-raise yung family out of poverty. So tutulungan nila yung pamilyang iyon. Okay? So napakaganda, di ba? They give attention sa mga mahihirap at nagkakaroon sila ng analysis kung ano yung mga pwedeng maitulong ng gobyerno para sa ganun, hindi na mauulit yung paggawa pa ng krimen. So that is Switzerland. Then we come to Ireland Police. This is another place with an unexpectedly low crime rate, despite serious unemployment problem and the presence of large urban ghettos and a crisis with religious terrorism. Still, Ireland maintain a low crime rate. The key factors appears to be a sense, hope, and confidence among the people. So yun po yung positive factor. There is sense of hope and confidence among the people to their government officials. Legitimacy surveys, for example, show that 86% of more of the population believe that the local authorities are well skilled in doing everything they can. Adler, in her discussion of Sinumi, found similar results in her study of 7 other countries like Bulgaria, Germany, Costa Rica, Peru, Algeria, Saudi Arabia, and Nepal, where the people had a high degree of confidence in authorities and felt like they had a high degree of popular participation in crime control. So yun yung ibig sabihin ng sinumi, no? May sinumi doon sa Ireland, kung saan malakas ang tiwala at mataas ang tiwala at paggalang ng mga tao sa kanilang mga otoridad. At mataas din ang rate yung kanilang partisipasyon in crime control. So, sinabi dito, there is absence of anomy in Ireland. Kasi ang anomy, ibig sabihin, there is lack of social regulation. Pero dito sa Ireland, baliktad, napakataas ang rate ng population participation in crime control. Bukod pa sa mataas ang kanilang paggalang at tiwala at kumpiyansya sa kanilang mga pinuno. So that explains their low crime rate. Then we move on to Royal Canadian Mounted Police. So the Royal Canadian Mounted Police is the federal, national, and paramilitary police force of Canada, and it is one of the most recognized of its kind in the world. The RCMP was formed in 1920 by the merger of the Royal Northwest Mounted Police, founded in 1873, with the Dominion Police, founded in 1868. So the Royal Canadian Mounted Police was originally named the Northwest Mounted Police and was given the royal prefix, kaya may royal, no? By King Edward VII in 1904. What are the responsibilities of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police? They are primarily responsible for enforcing federal and, in many cases, provincial and local laws. Unlike most other federal police forces, however, it is also has a major role in frontline policing throughout the country, including in provincial jurisdictions. Kahit na sa provinces and territories, they are constitutionally responsible for law and order, still, tinutulungan pa rin sila ng Royal Canadian Mounted Police. 8 provinces have chosen to contract most of all their policing responsibilities to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. The force consequently operates under the direction of the provincial governments in regard to provincial and municipal law enforcement. The exceptions are Ontario and Quebec, which have their own provincial police forces. We call it the Ontario Provincial Police and the Sûreté du Québec respectively. When Newfoundland joined Confederation in 1949, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police entered the province and absorbed the then Newfoundland Rangers and took over that area. Today, that Royal Newfoundland Constabulary has reclaimed some of that province to their jurisdiction. In the three territories, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police serves as the sole territorial police force. Additionally, many municipalities throughout Canada contract the Royal Canadian Mounted Police to serve as their police force. The RCMP is responsible for an unusually large breadth of duties, from policing in isolated rural towns, the far north and urban areas, providing protection services for the monarch, governor general, prime minister, and other ministers of the crown, visiting dignitaries and diplomatic missions, enforcing federal laws, including wire fraud, counterfeiting, drug trafficking, and other related matters, providing counterterrorism and domestic security, and participating in various international policing efforts. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police Security Service was a specialized political intelligence and counterintelligence branch with national security responsibilities, but was replaced with the Canadian Security Intelligence Service in 1984, following revelations of illegal covert operations relating to the Quebec separatist movement. Duties, conduct, and operational and reporting guidelines are very specially laid out in a detailed document known as the Commissioner's Standing Orders. Let us move to the international responsibilities of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. The RCMP International Operations Branch assists the Liaison Officer Program to deter or stop international crime relating to Canadian criminal laws. The International Operations Branch is a section of the International Policing, which is a part of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police Federal and International Operations Directorate. 35 liaison officers are placed in 25 other countries and are responsible for organizing Canadian investigations in other countries, developing and maintaining the exchange of criminal intelligence, especially national security, with other countries, to provide assistance in investigations that directly affect Canada, to coordinate and assist Royal Canadian Mounted Police officers on foreign business and to represent the RCMP at international meetings. Let us move on to the Mexico Police. Mexico Police plays an important role in maintaining internal security of their country. The organization of police in Mexico is quite complicated. Bakit? There are different types of Mexican police forces with distinct jurisdictions and responsibilities. The police of Mexico are grouped into multiple forces at the federal, state, and municipal levels. Investigating and preventing criminal activities, Mexico Police assists the judiciary of the country in the public ministry. Judicial police and preventive police are the two branches of Mexico Police. So what is the function of the preventive Mexico Police? They are charged with the responsibility of maintaining law and order in the cities and other regions of the country. Public security is a prime concern of preventive police. Criminal investigations are not included in the function of the preventive police. Then let us have the judicial police function. They are under the guidance of the public ministry. There are three categories of police operating in this area of law. There are technical experts, those investigating for the public prosecutors and police officers. Judicial police enforce either local laws or federal laws on the basis of their jurisdiction. The federal police is the most important law enforcement body of the country, belonging to the senior level. The Attorney General is responsible for the federal judicial police. There has been a considerable increase in the size of the federal judicial police. The legal powers of the federal judicial police extend over the entire country. The area of jurisdiction of the federal judicial district is distributed across 13 zones. Each zone is coordinated by the federal prosecutor. Federal Judicial Police Second Commandment heads each zone. The police force of Mexico City are transferred. The police force of Mexico City are also referred to as the traffic police, which is the biggest Mexican law enforcement body. Mexico Police also features municipal police lines in the municipality areas and cities. Then we have the Australian force for their administration. Australia has one police force for each of the 6 states in the Northern Territory. There is also a Commonwealth agency known as the Australian Federal, a police which provides police services for the Australian Capital Territory and also involved in preventing, detecting, and investigating crimes committed against the Commonwealth. Thus, there are 8 separate police forces for the nation of Australia. There are, however, a large number of other agencies which have specific law enforcement functions, including health inspectors, tax officials, and immigration and customs officers. All Australian police forces have a hierarchical organization. In the larger police force, the chief officer is known as the commissioner, except in Victoria, where the chief officer is known as the chief commissioner. The larger forces also have one or more deputy commissioners and a number of assistant commissioners. Below these ranks are chief superintendents, chief inspectors, and inspectors. Officers achieving the rank of inspector above, known as commissioned officers. The remaining ranks consist of senior sergeants, senior constable, and constable. In the state and Northern Territory police forces, the administration is divided into geographical districts, which are themselves divided into divisions and sub-districts. There is also a movement towards increasing the autonomy of regional police commanders in many Australian police forces. The Commissioner of Police is directly accountable to a minister, but the minister is usually not permitted to influence the operation and decisions of police commanders. An Australian Police Ministers' Council meets at least once a year, and is supported by the commissioners in this context as the senior officers group. The Australian Police Ministers' Council and the senior officers group structures have attempted to create a higher level of cooperation and uniformity of police practices throughout Australia. Australian police forces are not closely associated with the military forces. Australian military forces have no responsibility for the maintenance of civil order. However, on very rare occasions, the military forces have been required to provide assistance to the police. In the event of a serious natural disaster, such as a flood or bushfire, the military forces are asked to assist the police and other civilian authorities. Then let us move to the technology of Australian police. For police automobiles, Australian police forces have a total of 9,662 motor vehicles. So this figure, I believe, is already updated. Tumahas lalo yan. Electronic equipment, all Australian police forces have access to computer records, radio communications, and radar. Computer aided dispatch is available in metropolitan areas and some larger rural areas, while in more isolated areas, police communications are limited to radio and telephone. For their weapons, all rank and file police officers are issued .38 caliber revolvers. Special squads are issued semi-automatic weapons. Bulletproof vests are available in each police force, but they only issued to individual police officers in particular emergencies. For their training and qualification in Australian police, Australian police recruits are required to have completed their secondary education. Take note, secondary education. Although it is not always essential to have been awarded a qualification known as higher school certificate. University degree is not generally required of police in Australia except for specialist posts. University training is encouraged for all recruits to the Australian Federal Police and increasingly in other police forces. Recruits must undergo medical and psychological tests and are evaluated on their overall suitability, competence, physical fitness, and character. Recruit training is a combination of classroom and field-based experience, which takes approximately 18 months to complete. A portion of this training takes place in a policy academy, and the remainder is conducted on the job. On the use of discretion among Australian police, the use of force. All officers may use appropriate force when encountering violent person. Appropriate is defined by the level of force required to overcome and apprehend the person. Okay? So, yung tama lang at yung ano, appropriate. No? Police officers may use lethal force on a person if they believe their life or the life of another person is in danger. So, naintindihan niyo ito? Gagamit lang sila ng nakakamatay. Lethal is deadly. If they believe that their life, so that is in defense for their life or for the defense of the life of another person. Saka lang sila gagamit ng lethal force. Then, stop and apprehension of a suspect. In general, a police officer may stop and apprehend any person who appears to be committing or is about to commit an offense. For the decision to arrest, the vast majority of arrests are made without a warrant, although there are jurisdictional differences concerning prerequisites to arrest. As an alternative to arrest, police can caution suspect. Ngati caution, warningan. There are published guidelines used by the police in relation to the cautioning of suspects, especially for juveniles. Cautioning can be informal, in which the individual police officer warns the offender. Cautioning can also be formal, in which the suspected offender is required to appear before a senior officer for the cautioning, although no court appearance is required. In their search and seizures, police are generally required to obtain a search warrant from a judge or a magistrate before they enter premises and seize property. Okay? So, kailangan muna ang search warrant na kinuha nila from a judge or magistrate bago sila papasok sa mga premises. However, if it comes to illegal drugs and weapons, pwede itong ma-search at ma-seize without a warrant. For confessions, for us, the issue of obtaining confessions from suspected offenders has been a controversial subject in the past. The controversy has diminished with the onset of video. Okay? Virtually all interviews with persons suspected of serious offenses are videotaped. Accountability. Complaints against the police are investigated by different authorities in different jurisdictions. The principal agencies involved in each jurisdiction are the following: New South Wales, uh, which includes State Ombudsman, Independent Commission Against Corruption, and the Police Forces Internal Affairs Department. So, this is one of the principal agencies. So, under the New South Wales, we have Victoria State Ombudsman, Queensland Criminal Justice Commission and the Police Forces Internal Affairs Department, Western Australia State Ombudsman, South Australia Police Complaints Authority, Tasmania Police Forces, Internal Affairs Department, Northern Territory, Territory Ombudsman, and Australian Capital Territory, and Australian Federal Police and Federal Ombudsman. So this ends our discussion for today. I just hope you have learned something. For your activities, uh, this time I gave you pure AC time, no? So I just hope that you can answer these AC type questions by listening a while ago, and of course by your thorough reading of your module. Please also refer to the suggested readings mentioned in your module so that you can come out with a, a better and additional output. Thank you and good day.